He's trying to rouse them out of sleep. He's trying to, you know, open their eyes to the truth and that he's coming, etc. Right? And so whenever he says 1853 Israel time, it's not talking about an actual like time like on the clock. He's saying that when his people wake up, okay? But if you keep reading, it says 1838 will foreshadow the events of my coming, okay? So let's go look at 1838. So 1838 is only used one time, okay? One time in the Greek. 1838 means a habit, whether of body or mind, or a power a power acquired by custom, practice, or use. Okay? So the only time that G 1838 is used in scripture at all is in Hebrews 5:14. And this is what it says. But solid food is for the mature, who because of practice have their senses trained to distinguish between good and evil. So 1838 is tied to the 522 journey. That's what we've been doing this whole time. We've been used, to show, we've given up the things just like the 1853, the subsilience or the subsistence versus resilience. We've had to practice those things in order to increase our faith, in order to be examples to the bride and to his people, in order for them to wake up. Okay. So that's why 1838 and then 1853. So if you go and you read what he says again, okay, he said, my child, destruction is coming. Harpazo is coming. So destruction before harpazo. He's already told us that we're going to see some destruction. Then he said, I am picking up my bride on May 22. So May 22 is the date that stands for our journey. He's already showed us that every important date converges to May 22 because that's like the end and the beginning, right? It's like the end and the beginning of our journey. So it's a symbolic date, all right? And then he says 1853 is real time. So 1853 is symbolic for his people waking up and being roused out of sleep. Okay. But then he says, and this is key, he says 1838 will foreshadow the events of my coming. So the very definition of foreshadow, okay, let me pull it back up, is to be a warning or indication of a future event. So our journey, what he's been having us do is sound the alarm and be a mouthpiece for him and be a warning to show that that he's coming and that destruction's coming, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So that's why 1838 foreshadows the events of coming. So he said the 522 journey was done, I'm pretty sure. Excuse me.
He
Sorry, hang
said
on.
that around 4-8, and you know how he was showing that as he speaks in future, but he was showing where that convergence is. The 4-8 journey is where it's completion. I mean, it even matches like my numbers and other people's numbers in the group. It's amazing. So yeah, he's showing completion.
I'm sorry for the cough. And then so the 1838 piece is come to an end because there's no more messages for the bride, he said. There's no more warnings. Now prophecies have to fall. And so we're entering into the 1853 part of the journey, which is the literal end. Okay. Because he says, I'm picking up my bride on May 22nd, which I just explained that. But he said destruction, and then he said harpazo, and he specific like if you really go through and you keep reading, also destruction, harpazo, picking up the bride on May 22nd. he uses his verbiage for 1853, 1838 that I just broke down, and then he said, I gave you signs in the heavens. I gave you warnings after warnings, yet you still deny me. You still reject me. Where's your faith? Where's your love? And then he goes through this whole message and he's talking about all the things that he's been saying for this whole journey, trying to wake people up. He's showing the difference between those who are awake and those who are asleep still and that have not grown. Their fruit of the spirit have not grown. So when he says, and this just came to me, when he says, "Have my flowers bloomed," okay, a flower is a form of like a type. I mean, you could type in shadow of a fruit. It's a blooming. It's a ripeness. You know, it comes to a point where it's ready. It blossoms. Okay, and so when that happens, then destruction falls and it completes the process. And so the encouraging part, hopefully, is that I mean, we're still being tested every day, but we've gone through the biggest part of the testing and refinement, and now we're entering into the 1853 part of the journey. Okay. The part where things start happening. And so now people start actually waking up at a rapid rate. Okay. So hopefully that helps. And if I forgot anything, just let me know.
No, that was amazing, Cassie, and that explains everything. So, guys, when this first journey started, December 30th, 2022, like for me, well, in my kitchen, really on December 29th, when he gave me a vision, and then at midnight, he held my hand and gave me my first prophecy. If you look at last year's prophecies, little things came true. And he would show the time of events and the timeline through that because they were foreshadowed of the grand finale, because it was his way of trying to wake people up to save as many as he can, because he's picking up his true believers, the ones that are relying only on Jesus Christ to save them. Okay. And so what's amazing about this whole thing is if you look at last year's prophecies, you're going to see how many of those events